Alright, so first I want to start by saying Kala Lal, Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of James Great Stone. Salutation to you, I came out there pushing this truth in sincerity, the hopeful elect, Shalom. This is Brother Kanan from James, Jamaica, and I'm here to do a quick lesson. And this lesson will be centered around this new so-called gender that these people are pushing, and basically it's going for babies basically. Now they have a new term that they are referring to babies under the age of 4, and they term them as Theybies, as you can see on the screen. Now with this world, what my aim in this video is to highlight that there are people or individuals out there that are basically Satanists. They don't believe in God. They don't believe in the natural way of things. They don't believe that the earth is set up and in an order that should be followed. They believe that they should create their own world, their own reality, and their own rights, basically. You know what I mean? No, the aim is to basically highlight these things and show you the level of stupidness or the level of stupidity that these people are basically pushing. And there are 2 videos on screen. I really don't know which one to play at first, basically, because it's crazy. No, they're saying basically a baby between the age below the age of 4 is not wise enough to make a decision as to what gender they want to be. No, it's not a choice to choose your gender. You're born whatever gender you're born. Alright? It's not a choice for you to be born. No one ever remember or knows when they were born. Right? If you don't see a video of you coming, you really don't remember that what took place, because it's not your choice. You never create the choice of born or the choice of getting life that was given to you, and you were given life for a purpose. Alright? Now I'm going to get in some scriptures, and I'm also going to maybe jump back and forth between the 2 videos. Alright? Because this thing is creating confusion, and it's really simple. Just do away with this crap. But there are activists and leaders out there that are passing laws to give these people rights and basically laws to basically go about doing these things, right? So I am going to read the first precept. This is Psalms 10, and I'm going to start from, I think it's verse 5. Alright, so this is Psalms 10, verse 4. Psalms 10 and verse 4. It says, "The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after God." It says, "God is not in all his thoughts." So, people that are thinking in this manner, you know what I mean, they don't have God in their thought. Most of these people don't believe in God, you know what I mean, and they don't believe in God. That's just plain and straight. So if there's any natural thing that they don't feel they should to follow, they're gonna oppose it, because nature or the natural way was set up by the Heavenly Father. Now I'm gonna play. Alright, which one of these videos should I start? Let's start with this one at the top. The second one actually, which is the third one on the screen, actually gives more detail, but it's a lengthier video. And so I'm going to play the one at the top. You can watch both videos for yourself on this. Alright? Let's see this now. So this was 2 years ago, and this one is a year ago. Alright? For some reason, I'm just getting in touch with these videos. Alright, let's go ahead.
Having a baby used to be a straightforward proposition. You could have a boy or you could have a girl. But now there's a third option. It's called steep civilizational decline. A handful of parents across America are deliberately keeping their children's sex hidden and instead raising so-called Theybies. The idea is that only the children themselves should be able to decide whether they are boys or girls, without any of that pesky biological reality getting in the way. It's all very confusing, like a lot of 2018 is. So, of course, we called in our interpreter of all things progressive, our liberal Sherpa, Kathy Aru, founding publisher of Catalina Magazine. She joins us tonight. So, Kathy, goes without saying, you're for this, of course.
Yeah.
But doesn't this mean if you're going to raise a baby, how would you be able to change your child's diaper? Because the second you change the diaper, of course, you'd no longer be able to pretend that there was a question about whether this was a boy or a girl. You would know.
Well, it's not about pretending. The parent definitely knows the gender. It's about not necessarily labeling the baby. It's about allowing the baby to decide what gender that baby wants to be when that baby can decide.
All right, so first, let's pause real quick because we're going to try to dissect some of these madness. All right, so not labeling the baby. What does it mean to label the baby? All right, are you talking about a gender overall or just overall giving the baby a name? Because even a name, for most part, basically depicts what gender the baby is. You have names that are for boys and names that are for girls. Yes, you have unisex name that goes for both gender. So, according to you people, you are LGBT and the whole letter, alphabet. Basically, you're saying that all of your children should only have unisex name going forward if that's the case. All right, that's the first thing to think about there. All right, and if you already know the gender by looking at the child, right? Why is there a need to not let the child be aware of what it is? Like, what damage can you do to a child between the age of 1 to 4 to not let him or her know that, oh, you're a boy? What damage can you do to that child? Because if you pretend that child is a girl when he is a boy, and then you create this environment where he's thinking that are based on, because remember, a child is born blank, empty. They live and learn what they are seeing. All right. So if you're in an environment where confusion is, a child is seeing a male acting like a female, or he won't know the difference. So basically, you are growing that child in the way how you want that child to become, which is going to basically create that confusion. So it's literally trying to say, let's mess up our children's mind. Let's mess up our children's mind, because that's the only thing you're doing. You're doing more harm to the child than by doing that. You're trying to, okay, because you're living in a world now where you want to feel like you are a male when you're a female, or you want to feel like you're a female when you're a male. You want your children to have that same mindset, and you see these people are messed up in the mind, and that's why they continue passing on these madness onto their children. So you're creating a mad child by doing things like these. All right, let's continue in the video.
Which is around 4 years old. So from 0 to 4, the baby will not be labeled. The labeling theory will not apply from 0 to 4 years old. The baby will be a baby, neither a boy nor a girl.
Baby, that is a label. You're putting that name to the baby. That's a label. You just don't want to use the correct terms that are there. So you're creating your own term and calling a baby a singular person a day. So you're messing up the language, the English language, to suit your lifestyle. That's all messed up. These people think that everything is incorrect apart from themselves. They think that you need to fix everything so that their world can be better. It's not they are the problem and they need to fix themselves? Is the world is the problem and the world needs to fix itself? So the entire world is wrong for doing things that cause these people to be alive, because the reason why you are now here is because a male and a female slept together and brought forth a child, which you are that person. No, you decide that you want to be whatever gender you choose to be, going against the natural course or order of life, and you want to change the world with that. So what is going to happen when the entire world decides to follow your messed up way or wrong way? It's going to come to naught if that was the case. All right? So let's continue.
Whatever gender that baby chooses to
What other profound life decisions do we think people ought to be making at the age of 4? Are there any others?
Well,
Whether to get a tattoo, whether to get married, enlisting in the military, voting, drinking vodka, smoking Marlboro Reds. Is there anything else that we think 4-year-olds are ready to decide?
This isn't actually a profound life decision. I mean, biologically, there's nothing really going on from 0 to 4 in that area that affects a person's life. Biologically, the experts say that boys and girls, all genders are alike. The boy's brain, the male brain might be a little larger. The female's language might be a little bit more advanced.
No sexism on my show. Hold on. What was
Right, the living madness. You're identifying a difference. They are, yes, we are human, so we're gonna be alike in a lot of instances, but there are difference between us, right? We have different anatomy. We have different. Even the brain, as I said, is a little bigger, right? There are different attributes, different hormone level. There are different things out there that differentiate a male and a female than to just say, oh, they are babies, so they just don't give them any label. That's just being dumb and stupid, right? And these people are mad people, basically. Really, these people are people that never got help, grew up, never got help in their emo mindset, you know what I mean? Never got the help that they need, and they are now basically crying out to change the world with their rubbish, basically. So if you are in America or in Britain or wherever country these laws are passed or these ways are basically passed, and you see someone that looks like a girl that you think is a girl because they look like a girl, all right, and you said you said she, you refer to her as her, you could be in trouble for calling for basically calling that person what he or she is. You know what I mean? And this is stupidity. But this is the world that we're living in today. Again, you're saying that the child, there's nothing in a child at 4. It's not a life profound situation, but you're creating a situation where the child is learning from, and eventually it is going to have an effect on that child. All right? Let me just read this piece up real quick. All right? This is Proverbs 22 and verse 6. It says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. So if you keep growing that child has whatever gender you choose to think you are, you can choose. Eventually when that child gets bigger, he or she will think that, okay, it's okay to change your gender. Right? Because you've been telling this child from day one that, look, you are whoever you choose to be. You are whatever gender you choose to be. This is not something that was designed by God. Which basically this child is going to say, okay, there's no God. So you're creating this child to not believe in God. Right? So you see how everything works out to show that these people are Satanists basically, and they don't believe in God. They are opposers of the Heavenly Father and the laws that the entire earth, basically, the natural laws of the earth, which is the laws of the Heavenly Father. Alright? Now, it also says, foolishness is born in the heart of a child, or in the mind of a child. A child don't know what is right from what is wrong unless someone guides that child. Right? So I'm going to pause here because if you continue this video, you're gonna see how stupid this is. But I'm going to go to the next video. Remember, there was 2 videos on screen, so you can watch the rest of this video. Alright, I'm gonna jump back and forth. This is a little longer, but so I'm going to just point out some things in it.
We have heard of people who identify as non-binary using the pronoun they or their instead of he or she. But what about this? Having a theyby instead of a baby. It's a new term that some parents are using to show that they're bringing up their offspring gender neutral. It's a very interesting situation.
Alright, I'm gonna skip through this video a little because I don't want to play all of it.
That indicates that you're either male or female, then therefore you have that gender identity. You're a man or a woman. But can you explain why you think that that isn't helpful, that the anatomy that you were born with biologically shouldn't dictate your identity? Because I think that's the sort of bigger point that your situation is trying to get to, isn't it? That when you're born with certain genitals, society decides how you should act. And as far as I'm trying to understand it, that is what you're railing against. Am I right?
Yes, it's a great question and a great clarification. What it is that, yes, commonly people born with one type of anatomy will identify with one gender, people with different anatomy will identify with another, but that totally negates the fact that there are legitimately thousands of people all over the world for whom that is not the case.
So what I would say, Ari, just in from that point of view, you're not necessarily dictated to by society. I mean, if you have a little girl and she's biologically a girl, she can decide and still be a she. This is, I mean, I'm putting this to you.
I don't think you can't call her a she though. Sarah's not a she.
No,
right?
I know. So let's talk about a different little girl or another child.
We don't know as far as she or he.
No, that is true. So I'm talking about a little girl whose parents do call her a she. She doesn't necessarily need to, for instance, play with dolls, do cooking lessons.
No,
and wear
exactly.
pink.
Gender
She just doesn't have
expression.
to.
Yeah, gender expression is totally different from gender identity. Someone can identify as a boy and, like any color, any toy, sports, dance, pink, blue, whatever. And same with identifying as a girl or non-binary. People's interests or hobbies or preferences don't dictate what their gender is.
When did
so
Hazel
having a preference?
Yeah, when did Hazel decide that she was no longer going to be a girl?
Hazel decided that they were non-binary when they were about 4. They had been exploring gender before that, trying on different pronouns, experimenting with different names, but they picked they, them pronouns and chose the name Hazel when they were 4
Ari,
years old.
with the greatest of respect, I have a 7-year-old daughter, right? When she was 4 years old, her main decision of the day was whether to watch Peppa Pig or Frozen. She had not a clue what about gender identity or non-binary or any of this stuff. And I put it to you that this wasn't Hazel's idea, was it? This was your idea. You decided that Hazel had gender issues that she needed to address, and you persuaded your daughter that she was no longer to be a girl, didn't you?
I mean, I personally don't agree with that assertion, but I can see how that could be misconstrued.
Because it's just a fact. The whole idea of you raising your child in your home, alright, whatever that child learns, they will have to learn it from somewhere. They don't just magically think of something in their mind without it being passed on either through television, through music, or through people just communicating. It has to be passed on to that child from somewhere. And what you're passing on is what the child is deciding, because it came from you. What the host asks is actually the fact. And you're gonna be naive about it and act like it's not the case.
I think that every family environment is unique. And say a child becomes a concert pianist very young, age 6, they're playing Beethoven. Well, maybe is it because their father is a pianist and they had a piano?
So if you're a transgender raising children, you're gonna try to raise the children as transgender, which is what you're trying to do. That's what you guys are doing, because you're not performing surgeries on these 2-year-old or 3-year-old. You're just leaving them unlabeled, as you said, until you start introduce them to these type of chaos, and then maybe in the future they will do some form of change or sex change. It's clear, it's simple, right? You're growing children to become transgender, to be changing from one gender. Today you will say, okay, you're a girl. Tomorrow you'll say, okay, you're a boy. That's rubbish. And I'm going to show you how that is affecting society today, and how it is going to mess up a lot of you people. You know what I mean? So I can play a little more. You know what I mean? But look at this case. All right, look at this. This is a transgender, right? Because a lot of people don't like to accept that a lot of cruel acts out there are done by people with these messed up minds. That's going for you, homosexuals, transgender. Basically, you're all the same thing, right? But you call yourself different names. All right? You people are the ones out there doing all that chaos. And in this article here, this is a transgender who is basically charged for rape. And whoever he is or she is or whatever this gender person believe that they are, this confusion, right? He's saying that, well, obviously it's a he because basically whatever, right? So he says biological males, right? So this individual wants to be placed in a prison with females because he's now a transgender, and he was charged for rape. Now the outlaw, the cry is that no, you cannot place him in a prison with females because he's biologically a male. So according to your terminology, where should you place this person who feels that from he was a child, he was gender neutral, he was not a boy or a female because his autonomy doesn't decide what he should be, all right? And then afterwards, no, he grew up turn havoc or chaos in the society, and now you need to put a law on this person. What do you do with a person like that? What do? You put him in a prison for yourself. So should you create a prison for transgenders only? Because you people want to live in our world, but you want to live amongst regular people, and regular people should abide by your crazy mindset. We should be calling a male her and a female him, which is basically going against the language itself. So if we're going to do that, we're going to change the language to please you people. So you see, giving these people rights is basically destroying regular people rights, because now you won't have the right to speak regular standard English like it is, and you won't have the right to a certain privacy, because if you're now in a bathroom and basically a dude feel like he's a girl and he needs to use a female bathroom, who is going to stop him from using the female bathroom? Because the laws are now being passed for crap like this. So this is why you have to take heed to things like this. You cannot just sit idle and just say, oh, them are mad people, allow them alone. You have to make a stand, because eventually you're going to be in some form of judgment towards sooner or later. Sooner or later, this plate of filth will be at your doorstep. It will be in your plate. It will be in your house, if you don't take a stand early and cry the folly that is basically taking place. All right, and the society is basically creating that. The leaders of this world is creating chaos so they can put a leash upon you people. Let's get back to the video. All right. All right, let's continue.
In the home, and they explored music earlier. Hazel has a unique education because living in an LGBT family,
Exactly, they live in an LGBT family and they are learning the ways that you guys are teaching them, which is not healthy, which is why you people should not be raising children. You should not be raising children, because you're doing more harm to a child than good. you're carrying your pain and your headache onto your children. And again, some of you people cannot even have children, but you're adopting children and to bring them into your lifestyle, which is evil. You want to be a man taking on a next man which cannot produce life, and you want to adopt a life and raise that life in that mind that is evil, that should be eradicated from out of society. But again, these people are going to push their rights to destroy the normal way of life, and it's because they don't believe in God, they don't care about God, and they will never care about God until they are put to death. Alright, that's just the truth. That's the judgment of it, yo. The judgment of the Heavenly Father will put you people in the right mind. I'm going to play some more.
Met people of different gender expressions and have been safe to explore their own gender, which has led them to a personal discovery.
Does
that mean
Ari,
that I forced them? No, of course
isn't
not.
this just utterly exhausting, trying to keep up with all this? I mean, a lot of it, I've got no problem with you leading any life you like, honestly. I haven't. You're a fully grown adult. You want to call yourself they and non-binary, whatever it is. I have total respect for your rights, frankly, to do whatever you want to do. My issue is what's happening with the kids in your household, and whether actually it's all being driven by the adults in the home and not these children. I mean, Little Sparrow, we don't even know if Little Sparrow is a girl or boy, and you say we now have to call Sparrow they. And Hazel, what does Hazel call Sparrow?
Their baby sibling.
Alright, so we're going to just go to the end of this, because you're going to see how this person try to justify every single thing that is being said here. And I don't want to be beating a dead horse, alright?
A legal adult to have the capacity to know themselves.
Childism is a new
and I
one.
think
All
a
right.
child
I've heard just
can
about-
explore identity.
All right, Ari, I've heard just about every...
Alright, let's just pull it back a little here, just to show you the stupidity, right? Let's go ahead.
Genuinely has no ability to conceptualize gender. Isn't it toxic and bizarre that at 2 we are telling someone you are a boy because of your anatomy? If that 2-year-old genuinely can't conceptualize of what a boy is, isn't it make more sense that if a 2-year-old genuinely has no ability to process what a gender is, as you said, that I don't, tell them what their gender is, and I don't emphasize gender constantly. I let them be what they are, which is a toddler.
Say you offer structure. What could be more of a structure than actually saying to your child, this is your name and that's your name? And if when you get to be an adult, you want to change your name, then you become your own adult, your own responsibility, you take your own decisions. Part of being a parent is until a child reaches adult age, actually the parent takes these decisions. What are you
That's
doing as a
reasonable,
parent?
but I guess
As a
my
parent, you're saying just get on
opinion
with it.
is that I feel that what you're expressing is a bit of childism, which is assuming that someone has to be a legal adult to have the capacity to know themselves.
Childism is a
and
new
I think
one. All
a
right.
child
I've heard just
can
about-
explore identity.
All right, Ari, I've heard just about every ism imaginable. I've never heard.
Every ism, to
I've
be
been
honest.
accused of every ism, and I'm struggling with this new world of isms, right? What is childism?
You're against children making their own decisions.
I believe that, childism is the normalization of the mistreatment of children just because they're young. Assuming that they can't have opinions or ideas, that they can't, obviously they do need guidance and structure, but mistreating them or treating them like property or denying their identity and autonomy.
So what is the guidance okay, if you need guidance, what are the guidelines to provide guidance to a child? What are the standards that we are held by? Because if there's no standard, then there's no guideline, because guidelines keep things in boundaries or in order. So what guidelines do we accept and what guidelines do we not accept? Because if it's going to be a case where you can create your own guidelines and your own laws, everyone can create the same thing. There has to be a universal standard that we are working with. And the thing is, you people don't want to accept the Heavenly Father guidelines. All right, I'm going to read this real quick, because you see, you're doing now is you're saying that's childism. So you cannot say that open without saying, oh yes, there need of guidelines, because then if a child decide that he or she doesn't want to sleep in your home, then you should let the child go outside. Or if a child decide that he wants to smoke, you should let the child smoke. If a child decide that he wants to drink, you should let the child drink. Whatever the child decide, without a guideline or someone to say no, then what is right? Because foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, and you have to basically drive that foolishness out. All right? Clearly, your foolishness was not driven out from you because you're still here with this madness. You know what I mean? So let me just read this real quick. It says Romans 1 and 21. It says, because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imagination. You became stupid and vain, empty in imagination. And their foolish heart, your mind, was darkened. That is why you like to dress the way you dress. You just like an emo. You like the dark type of living, the dark thinking, right? You're basically fools according to the Bible, right? Professing themselves to be wise. You think you're being wise, speaking on this behalf, but to the entire world, you're looking stupid, right? They became fools and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into image made like unto corruptible man. So you people create all kind of gods for yourself. Even yourself you call gods. Alright, let me just jump down. I'm not going to read everything. It says, who changed the truth of God into a lie and worship and serve the creature more than the creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this cause, this is the reason why God gave them up unto vile affection. This is filthy affection, yo. Right? For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. What is the natural use of a female? You're here to produce. It is not something you decide. It is just natural. Right? You are here. You were born and to grow a certain way. It's not rocket science while you're 14, 15, and then you start develop breasts or you start grow bottom or whatever. It's not rocket science that you start seeing up your period at a certain age. This is just natural, right? And for the male, it is not rocket science that you start your voice starts to deepen and all of these things. It's just the natural way that you were created. You want to stop people from being natural? Or because of your vile affection. Alright, it says, for even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burn in their lust one toward another, men with men working that which is unseemly, and receiving themselves the recompense of their error, which was meat. Right? So this, and even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, you don't want to know that there's a God and there's laws that God created for you to follow, and you should believe in these laws. You don't want to keep them in your knowledge, right? God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient, right? So these things are not righteous, and there's a judgment for them, all right? And you're training your children to become like this is also a judgment, all right? So don't want to meet the dead horse. Again, this is just a little living confusion, and you can watch the video for yourself and see how these people are basically driving the world into a mad state, and you trust into these people because even the laws, there are certain countries, certain states that these laws are legal, you know what I mean, and for going against these things you're basically gonna be in trouble for doing that. You know what I mean? So, hope someone was edified. I hope your eyes are open to the world and what is taking place, and you're not just naive and, oh, it's 4-year-old, what harm that is going to do? That's how they take their time and seduce you into destroying your children. They put these things into their cartoons and their movies. So if you're not watching the cartoons with them, you don't see the subliminal messages that are being sent through these videos of some type of immoral sexuality where take place on these cartoons, and there are a lot out there. You can just Google it or YouTube it and you'll see them, because they are playing mind games on your children, even subliminally, things that are not registered in the conscious mind, things that are not seen into the consciousness. These things are basically being done subliminally, and these are facts. these are facts. You're seeing these things subliminally, and one day you start to say certain things. You wonder where it come from. It was already captured in your mind without you noticing that it was already past your skull and into your mind. So again, hope someone was edified. With that, I want to say, Kalalal, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, double honors to the apostles and the rest of the stone. To you, I came out there. Shalom.